I thought I'd seen every kind of ridiculousness wearing a badge. I was wrong. The morning that proved it began with red and blue lights popping in my rearview mirror, except they weren't real police lights. It was that ghost hour before sunrise. State Route 9 was nearly empty, fog curled over the shoulders, and a white SUV came up fast behind me with a wobbly light bar and an off-key siren. The vinyl on the door read Willow Creek Estates Community Compliance. My neighborhood, Willow Creek Estates, had rules for the color of mailbox flags. But State Route 9 is a state road. It's not inside a gated HOA. That's what I told the man who swaggered up to my window. Cole Briggs, an ex-deputy with a tactical vest over a polo, Velcro pockets flapping like a Halloween costume. He'd once been on the job, bad temper, worse paperwork, and I'd written the report that got him fired. He never forgave it. "Commander Jack Mercer," he said, trying for menace. He'd picked up a taser from some online surplus and a swagger that didn't fit his belt. A nervous kid with a clipboard climbed out of the passenger seat and muttered something about community bylaws. Cole pointed at my license plate. Registration stickers covered in mud. Violation of Willow Creek Bylaw 217B. There was some dried mud on the corner of the plate from a fishing trip. The sticker was visible from 10 feet. I told them the HOA's authority ends at the gate, that they can't annex a state highway. The kid, scared but earnest, read from his notes about a partnership resolution and how community thoroughfares could be enforced. It was bureaucratic theater meant to make bogus authority look real. Cole didn't care for nuance. "We're immobilizing the vehicle," he said. Persistent violation. He pulled a heavy boot out and clamped it on my front tire. A boot on a state highway. Metal and criminality scraping together. He slapped a fluorescent sticker on my window. "Impound enforcement. Do not move." He smiled like he'd won. I let him think he had. I opened my door, grabbed my coffee and my phone, walked to the front of the truck, and took 3 clear, geotagged photos. Boot, sticker, his unit, and the highway marker. Then I strolled away down the shoulder toward the entrance of Willow Creek Estates, phone pressed to my ear. "Maya," I said. "Change of plan. Start with Councilman Harlan and a tow company run by a guy with the last name Russo. Maya is my wife and a brilliant research analyst. Give her 5 minutes, and she finds what other people call buried." She started typing before I finished the sentence. It was petty, and it was personal. By days, and we had a pattern. Marcia Hale, the HOA president, sat on a board tied to local developers. Councilman Harlan had pushed a vague community partnership ordinance that gave private compliance crews cover, and Russo's towing had an exclusive, no-bid contract. Every booted car funneled money to the same little ecosystem of greed. That night they escalated. A spotlight blasted my living room, and a drone hovered over our backyard, peering through our windows. I could feel the old instincts. Confront, badge flash, but Maya kept me calm. "Don't give them what they want," she said. They wanted me to snap. Our neighbor, Gus Palmer, a retired accountant with a stubborn streak, peeked over the fence and made a joke that broke the tension. Then we watched as the harassment turned into a plan. They weren't just shaking people down. They were building a machine. We decided to turn the lights on. I went to Russo's towing undercover, wearing grease-stained clothes and carrying $50 in cash. The yard was a graveyard of perfectly serviceable cars. The Miller's SUV, Mr. Henderson's Sunday Classic, the Garcia's contractor van. In the office, behind greasy glass, a clipboard listing license plates and bogus violations proved it was organized. I photographed the log with a burner phone. Maya grabbed public records linking the players. We had motive. We had transactions. We needed intent. They gave that to us quicker than I expected. After 3 days of stonewalling to get my truck released, I paid the ransom to Russo and fitted the truck with hidden cameras wired to a tamper-proof drive. The truck became bait. 2 nights later, our dog, Milo, raised a rare growl. Through the night vision footage, I watched Cole Briggs slip into the cab and drop a small baggie under the passenger seat. Plant matter meant to look like contraband. He'd planted evidence to frame me. I didn't touch the bag. I left it alone and set a warrant trap. The dash cam showed his face crystal clear. This was not a bylaw citation. It was a felony frame-up. I took the evidence to Deputy Santos, a straight shooter I'd trained years before. He watched the video, his jaw tightening. "This is big," he said. "Felony level, and it ties to Russo, Harlan, and Hale." But then he ducked his head. Politics are sticky. We have to be careful, he said. This is county level. There's pressure to manage it quietly. That looked like a wall. For the first time, the system I trusted seemed rusty around the hinges. But Deputy Santos slid me a quiet message later. The county had too many moving parts, but he'd line up the right people if we could present it publicly, hard and undeniable. We needed witnesses and a spectacle. Marcia Hale announced a mandatory compliance sweep for the whole subdivision. They planned to march in with spike strips and tow trucks and fill their coffers. Santos texted a single note. Sweep at 8 a.m., one entry point, Oak Street. A soft tip of a plan to let us set a counter. We mobilized the neighborhood. Maya coordinated a network of neighbors with phones and cameras. Gus hid with a high-powered leaf blower. Long story. He'd once made a landscaping company cry. I prepared physically. I had a pole in the truck, the kind utility workers use. It was ridiculous and brilliant. At 7:55, I rolled up to the gate. Cole and his crew were setting a spike strip across the road. Tow trucks waited like vultures. When the strip went live, I drove my F-150 toward it, slowed to the perfect spot, hooked the pole on the spike strip, and, with a practiced heave, flipped the thing. The maneuver ruined their setup. The first tow truck clipped the raised edge, shredded its tires, and created a 3-vehicle pileup. Chaos. People poured into the street. Neighbors who'd cower in the past now stood shoulder to shoulder. Gus emerged from the bushes grinning with his blower like a mad conductor. Cole lost his temper and shoved Gus hard. The old man hit the pavement. That was the line. I stepped in. Cole lunged at me, big and loud, and I moved like a cop who'd been in one too many fights. Deflect, redirect, one clean, decisive shot to the jaw. He went down fast, out cold. The crowd went silent, then erupted into applause. We hadn't come to violence, but the bully had made it inevitable. The moment changed things. People stopped seeing Marcia Hale's crew as omnipotent. They saw a foible, a man with a taser and a bad tan. That evening, Marcia called an emergency HOA meeting to rally the troops and shame the violent residents. She expected frightened faces. Instead, Maya projected an email we'd pulled from public records. Marcia asking Councilman Harlan for vague language and discretionary enforcement, the corruption on paper. Then Maya played the tow yard log and the dashcam footage of Cole planting the baggie. You could hear a pin drop. I clipped a small body camera to my shirt and said, calm as a bell, this meeting is being live-streamed to the State Attorney General's task force. They've been staged since noon. The doors burst open. Deputy Santos and state troopers moved in with warrants. Marcia Hale, Councilman Harlan, Russo, and Cole Briggs were arrested in front of the room. It unfolded quickly after that. The State Attorney General's office tagged it organized crime, not a petty HOA gripe. News vans swarmed Benton County. Court moved slow, but the outcome felt inevitable. Marcia Hale pled to conspiracy and extortion. Councilman Harlan resigned and faced corruption charges. Russo lost his license, and Cole Briggs got the longest sentence in the bunch. The compliance division was dissolved. Class action suits returned stolen fines and damages to the neighbors. The cleanup didn't erase the months of stress, but it returned our lives. The drone stayed grounded. The spotlight was gone. Gus ripped out formal hedges and planted a riot of color. Kids rode bikes without watching for tow trucks. Our block exhaled. I learned something ugly and useful. Systems only work if people inside them are honest. Bad actors will exploit gray rules and payoffs until someone shines a light on them. We lit the light. I'm Commander Jack Mercer. I don't go looking for fights, but I'll end one that's been brought to my street, cleanly, legally, and loudly enough that the crooked don't try it again. Sometimes justice sounds like a tow truck skidding and handcuffs snapping. Sometimes justice is less tidy. A busted spike strip, a busted jaw, a courtroom. But it worked. Our neighborhood got itself back. And that's the end of it. The compliance division gone, restitution paid, the little kingdom of extortion dismantled. We put our street back together and learned we could stand up for each other and win.